Stop. You think World War II was fought by nations, armies, ideologies? Forget that noise. At its core, the war in the West was a dick measuring contest between three of the most brilliant, egotistical, and deeply flawed bastards to ever command an army. I'm your midnight meme historian, and tonight, we're not just telling a story. We're hosting a roast battle. In T's corner, hailing from Germany, the tactical genius, the improvisational artist, the desert fox himself, Erwin Rommel. In the opposite corner, from Great Britain, the meticulous, cautious, insufferably arrogant chess master, but not Monty Montgomery, and storming into the ring from the United States, wearing pearl-handled revolvers and screaming profanities. The one, the only, George-esque blood and guts Patton. For the next 15 minutes, we're going to break down this toxic triangle of leadership. We'll analyze their genius, mock their failures, and expose the colossal egos that shaped the course of the war. By the end of this, you will understand why these three men were both the greatest assets and the biggest liabilities of their respective armies. This isn't a biography. This is a performance review. From hell. Alright, let's start with the fan favorite. The guy even the Allies had a weird man crush on. Erwin Rommel. This dude was the rock star of the Wehrmacht. He wasn't some Prussian aristocrat with a monocle. He was a middle-class kid who was just ridiculously good at war. In World War I, he was a lieutenant who captured 10,000 Italians with a battalion of a few hundred men. He didn't follow the rules. He made them up as he went. When they sent him to Africa, they gave him a tiny, under-equipped force and told him to just hold the line. Rommel read that order, laughed, and immediately launched an offensive that threw the entire British army out of Libya. He used dummy tanks made of cardboard on cars to trick British intelligence. He led from the absolute front, sometimes getting lost behind enemy lines. His own command in Berlin had no idea where he was half the time. He was the ultimate, fuck it, we'll do it live. Churchill himself called him a great general. The man trying to kill him was his biggest fanboy. But here's the dark side of the rock star. Rommel was a genius at winning battles, but he was terrible at logistics. He'd charge hundreds of miles into the desert, outrunning his own supply lines, and then wonder why his tanks ran out of gas. It's the military equivalent of a startup that has a brilliant product but no idea how to ship it. And let's not forget the elephant in the room. He was fighting for the Nazis. He wasn't a party member, sure. He was a professional soldier. But that's like saying you're just a professional getaway driver for a bank robbery. At some point, you're part of the crime. Now, across the battlefield, we have his polar opposite, Bernard Montgomery. If Rommel was a jazz musician, improvising a solo, Monty was a classical composer who planned every single note a year in advance. This guy was a walking, talking checklist. He was cautious, meticulous, and completely devoid of anything resembling charisma. He looked and sounded like a grumpy high school principal. But my God, the man knew how to win. When he took over the British Eighth Army in Egypt, it was a demoralized, beaten force. The first thing he did, he found and burned all the plans for retreat. His order was simple. We will fight here. If we cannot live here, we will die here. Then he spent months and months, and months, gathering supply. He demanded a 2-to-1 superiority in tanks, men, and guns before he would even consider attacking. His soldiers loved him because he refused to waste their lives. His superiors hated him because he was arrogant, insubordinate, and slow. He treated his American allies, especially Patton, with a level of condescending disdain that was truly breathtaking. He genuinely believed that he, and only he, knew how to fight a war, and everyone else was just an amateur getting in his way. At the climactic Battle of El Alamein, he ground Rommel's army into dust through sheer, overwhelming, and boringly methodical force. It wasn't sexy. It wasn't flashy. It was just winning. And then there's Patton. Oh, Georgie boy. If Rommel was the artist and Monty was the accountant, Patton was a berserker who they accidentally put in charge of an army. This man was a walking, talking war crime waiting to happen. He believed in reincarnation and was convinced he had been a soldier in every major war in history. He carried ivory-handled pistols. He wrote poetry about war, and he swore like a sailor who had just stubbed his toe on an anchor. His philosophy was simple. Attack. Always. And then, when you're done attacking, attack again. After the Americans got their asses handed to them by Rommel in their first major battle in Africa, they sent in Patton to fix the mess. He took a broken, undisciplined corps and turned them into a killing machine in 10 days. How? By being the most terrifying bastard they had ever met. He fined soldiers for not wearing their helmets in the chow line. He demanded everyone be clean-shaven, even in the middle of the desert. He was a nightmare of a micromanager. But on the battlefield, he was a force of nature. His Third Army in France advanced so fast, so aggressively, that they literally outran their own maps and supply lines. He relieved the besieged city of Bastogne during the Battle of the Bulge by turning his entire army 90 degrees in the middle of winter and launching a blitzkrieg in the opposite direction, a move that most military historians still consider borderline insane, but it worked. But his ego was as big as his army. He openly despised Montgomery. Calling Ima, tired little fart. He got into a public relations disaster for slapping 2 soldiers in a hospital who were suffering from shell shock, calling them cowards. The command had to sideline him, putting him in charge of a fake ghost army to deceive the Germans about the D-Day landings. Can you imagine? Their best offensive general was so toxic, they had to put him on the bench during the most important play of the game. So you have this insane triangle. Rommel, the tactical genius, fighting for the wrong side. Monty, the strategic mastermind, who moved at the speed of a glacier. And Patton, the offensive powerhouse, who was his own worst enemy. The entire war in the West can be seen as the clash of these 3%. In Africa, it was Rommel's daring improv versus Monty's brutal math. Math won. In Sicily, it was Patton's insane race to beat Monty to Messina. A sideshow he turned into a personal competition, wasting resources and lives just to say he got there first. And in France, it was Patton's unstoppable advance versus Monty's cautious planning. The beautiful irony is that none of them got the ending they wanted. Rommel, implicated in the plot to kill Hitler, was forced to commit suicide. Monty won the war but was sidelined by the Americans and is remembered as a hero in Britain, but an arrogant pain in the ass everywhere else. And Patton, the man who lived for war. He died in a car accident in Germany just after the war ended. A slow-speed fender bender. The most aggressive general in history, taken out by a traffic mishap. You can't make this stuff up. So, who was the best? It's the wrong question. They were 3 different tools for 3 different jobs. Rommel was the scalpel, Patton was the sledgehammer, and Monty was the goddamn instruction manual. They were all necessary. They were all brilliant, and they were all deeply, deeply flawed human beings who held the fate of millions in their hands. If this clash of historical titans made you reevaluate what it means to be a great leader, smash that like button until it begs for mercy. Hit the bell, because next, we're diving into the Cold War, and the egos only get bigger and the weapons get a lot more ... nuclear. Now I want a full-blown war in the comments. Who would you want commanding your army? The brilliant but reckless Rommel, the slow but steady Monty, or the insane but effective Patton? Defend your choice. This roast was brought to you by a deep appreciation for historical drama and a healthy dose of caffeine. Fuel the next battle at my KOF link in the description. And if you want to wear the face of one of these glorious bastards on a t-shirt, you know where to go. The merch store link is in the description.